something. I've come to know that we know that all things work together for the good of them that love him and those who have been called according to his purpose. Now let's deal with that word called there, because that word called there comes from a word called ecclesia. Ecclesia is those who have been called out. And that's what makes the enemy mad, because he recognizes and realizes that we have been called out. What were we called out from? We have been called out from darkness into his marvelous light. We have been called out from untruth to truth. And so he's angry because God has called me out of nowhere to take me somewhere. And so he's angry because he understands that I have been called with purpose. So he doesn't want my purpose to manifest. Now watch though. Watch this. Purpose is inclusive of so many things, and understanding purpose can be overwhelming because you're trying to do so much. But I came to tell you, we do not accomplish everything, because if we did, our lives would have been lived to perfection, and only Jesus is perfect. So we don't accomplish everything, but watch. But there are some purposes that are non-negotiable. There are some purposes that are non-negotiable. If you read the Bible, which I know we have a whole room full of Bible readers, there's a perfect will and a permissive will. Now, when you understand the ministry of Jonah, how many of you have ever read the story of Jonah? Okay, watch this. When you understand the ministry of Jonah, what you will discover is Jonah's purpose was to go to Nineveh. But he went to Tarshish. So even in his route going to Tarshish, God was still there, because he allowed Jonah to get on a boat. And while Jonah got on that boat, watch now, the men threw him overboard, but here comes the whale. And the big fish swallowed him up, but God brought the whale. Don't miss that. God brought the whale. And even though Jonah got swallowed up in the whale, and he's in the whale with all of this mess, God was still there. See, in our lives, there are some things that God will permit to happen, but he still shows you that he's there, and sometimes we do it our way and we end up in a bunch of mess. But God is still there. Because watch now, it wasn't until Jonah came to himself. It wasn't until he understood a change has to take place. If I want to continue to do this my way, I'm going to stay in this mess. I'm telling you, I'm teaching this better than y'all getting this. If I want to continue to do things my way, that's right there, that should have been a breakthrough for a lot of y'all. If I want to continue to do things my way, then I'm going to be willing to stay in this mess. But it wasn't until he came to himself and he recognized and realized God has a different purpose for my life, and God intended for me to go to Nineveh. Now, God tells the whale, spit him out. But watch where he ends up. He spits him out, and he ends back up on the earth. Y'all miss it. He ends back up on the earth because, watch now, God had a purpose for him to fulfill here in the earth. That's why the word of God says, let thy kingdom come. Where? Here on earth as it is in heaven. Because when God calls purpose for our life, purpose is already sanctioned in eternity before it ever gets here on heaven. And since purpose is sanctioned in eternity, God is just waiting for it to manifest here on the earth. And sometimes it doesn't manifest until I come to myself. And when I come to myself, I begin to realize, wait a minute, why am I trying to do this by myself? Because I'm out here with myself, with nobody else, and God has asked me to do something, but I wanted to do it my way. And God is saying, okay, are you ready to do it my way now? Let me give the well the permission to spit you out. And when I give the well the permission to spit you out, now you end up back on earth. And now you end up ready to fulfill your purpose. So watch this. So what God does is he will navigate our steps. And sometimes he navigates our steps by force. How does he navigate my step by force? It's because it got so ugly until you had to just say, okay, God. 9:30. I thought this was the livest crowd. The situation gets so ugly, and now you're walking out and saying, you know, I don't want to do that no more. No, it wasn't that you didn't want to do it no more. You had to come out of it. Because if it had not got ugly, you would have stayed in it. So he navigates our steps sometimes by force. And he does that to see that the purpose is accomplished, because some purposes are non-negotiable. First component of change is purpose, but the second component of change is time. Watch this, watch this. We read in Ecclesiastes there's a time for everything. Time to plant, time to pluck, time to mourn, time to celebrate or rejoice. There's a time for everything. But I came to tell you, time is fixed. Our time on earth is fixed. Our time here on earth is fixed. You don't have as much time as you think. I'm just waiting. For what? And young folks, let me share this with you. I'm so glad to see so many young folks in the sanctuary. Let me share this with you, young folks. This is the acceptable time. Give God the best of your service now. This is your reasonable service. I know some young folks say, I'll wait, I'm young, I got the rest of my life. You don't have as much time as you think. Okay, let me talk to some of the other young folks. You don't have as much time as you think. Time is fixed. Well, how do you know, preacher? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Go to the 39th division of Psalms. We're going to read verse 4. So we define time. It is a collection of moments that comprise our existence on earth from the time we are born until the time we die. It is a collection of moments that comprise everything. It comprises our existence here on this earth, from the time we come into this world until the time we die. And again, our time here on earth is fixed. When you read the 39th division of Psalm, verse 4, listen at what David said. David said, show me, O Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting is my life. David understood that his time was in God's hand. But he also understood that his time was fixed. When you read Psalms chapter of the 90th division of Psalm, David says something like this: teach me, Lord, how to number my days. In other words, what David is asking him, he's saying, Lord, teach me how to make the best of my time. Or teach me how to maximize my moments. Show me how to discern